Hi, this is Larry with Mancave Mayhem. Behind me is my 2022 Triumph Scrambler XC. We are trying to get this thing kitted out for a long adventure trip, and I need some engine protection. So I got the engine dresser bars from Triumph that are set up right here, and I got them laid out. And of course, in standard Triumph fashion, this is the only paperwork that comes with it. Basically, no instructions whatsoever. 4 different languages of warnings. So that's not going to do us any good. So we're going to crumble that up right now, throw that in the trash. That's taken care of. But basically, this is what you get with the kit. You do get a crushed gasket for the left side exhaust manifold. Actually, you can see how this is working here. So over on this side, it crosses over to the other side. So we need to get this off. There's an exhaust gasket for that. And then the pipe joins with the other pipe right here. And you can see where the nut is right down here. So that's the first step in the process. They also give you new bolts right here for the engine mount bolts. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Not much on this on the internet that I could see as far as installing it. Picked up a few things, a couple torque specs. I'll include that in the video. Right now, let's just get on with the show. Tools you're gonna want for this is a torque wrench. You're gonna want a T55 Torx bit. You're gonna want an extension. You're gonna need a ratchet, 4mm Allen key. You're gonna want a 17mm wrench, 10mm wrench, 2 12mm wrenches, pair of wire cutters, good size one, a punch, or a drift, and a hammer, and some Loctite, of course. First thing first, we're gonna take a 12mm wrench, and we're gonna take this crossover pipe off. We do need to get to that O2 sensor, but I'm gonna try and wait until we get to that point, and then what we're gonna do is we'll loosen the pipe up, and then I'm gonna put a wrench on that O2 sensor and we'll get that off of there. But in the meantime, let's get these off. These are a 12mm bolt, both sides here, as you can see, right there. And we'll go from there. Now that we got those 2 rings off, you're gonna want to take a 17mm and break that loose. That's the O2 sensor. And I'll show you how these rings go together just to kind of give you an idea how that works. They're awkward to slide off, but see, this goes underneath on this side and goes on top on this side. They kind of, they're staggered, so they come apart just like that. Just so you know, for reference. So we'll get this off now. We're gonna take the O2 sensor off, or at least we're gonna get it loosened up. Okay, now I've got that O2 sensor loosened a little bit. We're gonna go over to the right side of the bike with our 10mm wrench. And I'll show you what we're trying to go after on this side of the bike here. We're going after that bolt right there, and that's a 10mm. This is the clamp right here. You can see how that pipe goes into it. We want to detach that pipe from this side, so we're going to unbolt this 10mm bolt, which is on the clamp, and we're going to pull that pipe loose. Okay, now that we got that clamp loose, we're going to just kind of work this loose. It should come out fairly easy, I hope, without bashing my radiator. But we want to get this pipe loose a little bit. It's kind of unnerving because you're so close to the radiator, and it would probably be better to get this O2 sensor out a little more. And that's kind of a concern too, is twisting that wire so much. But I think we have it out now, and we can just keep going on the O2 sensor here. O2 sensor's out. You don't really have to twist it too much, and there's the pipe. So first step of the process is done. Now let's move on to the next step. Now, like I said, I'm just going off of what I've seen on the internet, what little I have seen on the internet. We're gonna need this for later on, so we'll put that on the pipe. That'll be a new gasket, because this other crushed gasket is obviously crushed. Not a big deal. You could probably reuse this one again, but we're gonna go ahead and put the new one on. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that new one in right now, so I know it's in there, and I don't forget to put it in, so, because that would be bad. So the new one is in now. Now what we're gonna do is we're going after this engine, the motor mount bolt. Now see this, getting that pipe out of the way exposes both these bolts. So we're gonna get this off on this side, and we'll start placing loosely the engine bars for this using side. These two, this bolt and this nut, they're both the same size. These are the motor bolts, or the motor mount bolts. So we're gonna go ahead and get that loosened up. So what we're gonna need to use for that is T55 Torx. You can get these anywhere. I actually got this out of a kit from Home Depot. It's a Husky tool kit. So we're gonna go ahead and put a wrench on that. You're gonna back that with your 17mm wrench. We're gonna throw a 17mm wrench in this back side here, and then we're gonna take this bad boy off. So we'll get to it right now. All right, so they got that bad boy torqued down pretty good. I threw a cheater bar on it, so that's something you might want to use. And I backed it. You can see I ran the 17mm up through there, and I'm kind of holding it with my fingers, and I was able to back it enough to get that bolt loose. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that bolt out now and start setting up the dresser bar here. There's the difference in the bolt. So that's the original engine bolt, and these are the ones that come with the dresser bars. So that's why they give you those bolts. So we're gonna go ahead now, and we need to pull this plug out right here. See this plug on the frame? So we're gonna go ahead and get that off. You'll probably need a pair of needle nose pliers or something to get that out. It's kind of one of those plugs that have all the little teeth on them, so they're kind of a bear to get out. So we'll get that off next. The top of that broke off right there, and so I just need to put a punch in that and drive that through. It's a piece of plastic that just jammed in there, and I believe that's threaded, so you want to be careful. I could be wrong, but I think it is threaded. So let's get that out of there. That's it. There it is, just one of those plastic tab doohickeys. So we got that out now. Now let's go on with the next step. It's pretty straightforward now. The left side, you put the spacer in with this longer bolt, and then you're gonna use one of these two nuts. I'm not sure yet, but I'll tell you when we get there. I think it's gonna be the longer of the two, but no, it might not be. It might be this one. Anyhow, we're gonna get this put in. Also, I got a little silicone oil that I'm gonna put on this rubber grommet, and I'm gonna slide that back because we don't wanna forget to put that on. So we're gonna loosely fit this onto the bike, and then we'll go from there. This also goes into the bars where they join, and I'll show you how that works. So we're gonna get that all set up next. That bar loosely mounted, and I siliconed that rubber piece so it'd slide on easier, and now that's just sitting there loose. I believe the long nut is for the other side and the short nut is for this side, but I'll confirm that later. But anyhow, we just have this sitting here loose. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get the other engine bolt loose, and we'll get that taken care of next. So we're moving to the other side, yeah. So you can see I kind of have the wrench precariously mounted back there, and it runs down through below the radiator here. I'm gonna try and get it that way because you gotta back that nut up in order to get the engine bolt off. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a shot and see if that works. I'll let you know how that works out. I wanted to show you now that I'm over on the left side of the engine. You can see I have the wrench precariously setting on that nut. Once you break that loose, it's pretty easy to get off, so you can hold the wrench there like that just to back it. and I reach to the other side and just use the ratchet to get that off. So that's what you're gonna wanna do next. All right, we got that bolt loose now. We're gonna have to work it out, but it'll come out. So what I wanna do before I do anything else is I'm gonna put this steel piece. This is what joins the two bars together. It goes right here. So I'm gonna put that in. The flat side goes obviously on the flat side of the bar, and I'm gonna throw a screw in there loosely, and it's gonna be one of these little button head Allen screws. So we're gonna throw that in there, and then that'll be ready to go. Then we'll pull this out and start working on this side. Now I've got the bolt through with the black spacer. I haven't got the nut on the back side yet, which I need to do. I'll do that next. And then you take this sleeve. You can see that opening right there. All right, when you're putting this, you take this sleeve or whatever you want to call it, and this goes through the back side of the frame here, and it'll drop right in there. Then you want to put the bolt through that sleeve, and it moves around a bit. You can see it back here on the back side. It moves around a bit, but that's what you want the bolt to go into, and that helps to pinch that together right there. So that's what you want to do, and then you'll use this bolt and nut to tighten that down, and it is a lock nut. All right, so now what I'm doing is going around and just snugging everything up. Snugging all the nuts up. This is an Allen key. You want to snug this up and kind of line it up a little bit. Once you get that tight, then go over to the other side and just kind of start snugging bolts up. There are going to be some torques on these, some torque specs, and I'll give those to you as soon as I get this all taken care of. But that's what you want to do. You want to go around and just kind of start tightening up these bolts so you can kind of button this job up. So we'll go from there. We'll get that done, and I'll get back to you. I got these snugged up tight now. First I snugged these up, the motor mount bolts. I snugged those up as tight as I could by hand before I put a torque to them. And then I snugged these up as tight as I could. Now we're just gonna slide this little condom over the top there. And then it's got, you know, darn it, I put it on upside down. The T's upside down. What a shame. Maybe if I spin it. Nope. So I got an upside down T, so you can just take that one to the bank. But anyhow, that kind of covers up those bolts and gives it a cleaner look. So now we're gonna go to these back bolts here, 12mm bolts. I'm gonna put some blue Loctite on because it didn't come with them, and I imagine it's gonna need some, so we're gonna do that too. That's up to you, it's optional, but I like putting a little Loctite on these things when you're out roughing it in the dirt and stuff. You don't want things jarring loose. I want to put a 12mm wrench on these back bolts and tighten these up. And then we'll move to the next step. Tighten this 12mm up on the right hand side. It's backed by a lock washer or a locking nut, which is right up under here where my finger is. So you should be good. No Loctite necessary. Now that we got everything tightened down by hand as much as we can, we're gonna wanna go in with a torque wrench, and those main engine mounting bolts, we're gonna wanna torque to 77 foot-pounds, or pound-feet, or whatever you wanna call it. So I'm gonna go about 75, see how it feels, and we'll take it from there, but that's what it calls for. That's what I found on the internet. So I don't always trust that, but we're gonna give it a shot and see. So I'm gonna say 75 foot-pounds, we'll go from there. All right, now that that's all torqued down, you're gonna wanna put that pipe back on. Got those torqued down to 75 foot-pounds, and we are going to go ahead and throw this pipe on. I'm gonna leave them at 75, but it says 77. I'm gonna leave them at 75 because that's damn tight. And I would say the scariest part about this whole thing is taking that pipe off, which really ends up not being a big deal, and also torquing those engine bolts down, and trying to get to those engine bolts is kind of a bear. But other than that, it's a fairly simple job. You just have to be patient and take. Now let's get this exhaust back together. Just make sure you get the pipe in first, and then kind of twist it the opposite way to preload this. And it's kind of concerning because you have to really twist that thing to get it in there. But then you're just gonna wanna push that pipe in as far as you can, get it all settled in there, and then we'll put the ring on next. Kind of shimmy the pipe out to get these rings on. And they're kind of a pain in the butt. You just kind of you gotta keep manipulating them until they go on the pipe. We got those on. We're just gonna go ahead and put these back on, tighten everything up, and we're gonna call it a day. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Mancave_Mayhem. Again, thanks so much for watching. And just remember, I'm just a man in a cave causing mayhem. Thanks again, folks.